Why do the greatest truths hide in plain sight? 4 seasons, 4 directions, 4 elements, 4 chambers of your heart. Is this repetition mere coincidence, or is it a message, coded into the very design of existence? You've likely been told that manifestation is about wanting something hard enough, visualizing it, working for it, or simply hoping for it to arrive. But what if the process is much older than that? More natural? More precise? What if there is a sacred code behind every successful act of creation, a pattern echoed in the structure of nature, the body, the mind, and even time itself? Neville Goddard taught that man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified, meaning, the world you see is nothing but the reflection of what you assume and accept to be true within. So what happens when your consciousness aligns with this deeper universal blueprint? In this video, you will uncover the code of 4, a pattern that governs the natural world, your inner being, and the process of manifestation. These are not random steps or personal development tips. These are keys, designed into the fabric of reality. When you align with them, your desires no longer feel far away or difficult. They become inevitable. And by the end of this journey, you will not just understand the 4 manifestation codes, you will embody them. Now take a breath, become still. Notice where you are, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That's where we begin. Let me ask you something. Where in your life do you feel like you're striving, but not arriving? Because the answer doesn't lie in doing more. It lies in remembering the pattern, the ancient design, the sacred symmetry that has been waiting, not outside you but within. Let's unlock it. Code of 4, the sacred blueprint. Chapter 2, Code of 4, the sacred blueprint. Approx. 4 minutes. Look closely at the world around you. There are 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. 4 seasons, 4 stages of life, 4 limbs, 4 chambers of the heart. This is not poetic symmetry. It is structure. It is intelligence speaking in form. This repeating pattern is the language of creation itself. It shows up in nature, in culture, in mysticism, and in the way your inner world shapes your outer experience. When Neville Goddard said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live," he was not speaking about superficial thought. He was pointing to a deeper reordering, a change in the internal design, a realignment with the blueprint. The Code of 4 is not a rule book. It is a map. It appears in systems across the world because it reflects the inner anatomy of human consciousness. In ancient cosmology, the number 4 represents completeness on the earthly plane. In sacred geometry, it is the square, the foundation, the base of the pyramid. In dreams, it often represents the whole self striving toward balance. In psychology, Carl Jung referred to the quaternity as the archetype of wholeness. What does this mean for you? It means that when one corner of your inner structure is out of balance, your manifestations feel like struggle. When you try to imagine wealth from a place of physical exhaustion, or create love from emotional fear, or affirm success with a spiritual disconnection, the alignment is broken, the structure wobbles, the code is unreadable. You do not manifest simply from desire, you manifest from design, and the design has 4 living pillars. 1. Physical foundation. 2. Emotional current. 3. Mental clarity. 4. Spiritual awareness. Each must be acknowledged, felt, and harmonized, because each carries part of your creative command. Let's use a metaphor. Imagine a table with 4 legs. Each leg is one of these dimensions: body, heart, mind, and spirit. If one is missing or shorter than the others, the whole table tilts. It cannot hold the weight of your dream. It wobbles under pressure. You sit down to dine with destiny, and the feast spills onto the floor. Now ask yourself, which leg of your inner table has been ignored? Which corner of your sacred square feels weak, unacknowledged, or denied? Because once you bring attention to that corner, something begins to click. Energy starts to flow, and reality begins to respond. We are not just imagining outcomes. We are remembering a structure, a blueprint older than memory, yet written into your very breath. And now, we go deeper, into the 4 bodies that make up that sacred code. 4 elemental expressions of your consciousness. Your power is not in just one. It lives in the harmony between them all. You are not just a body walking through time. You are a layered, multi-dimensional field of energy, intention, memory, and spirit. The ancient wisdom traditions, long before modern science gave names to atoms and DNA, described the human being as a composite of 4 interwoven bodies, each one aligned with a universal element: earth, water, fire, and air. Not symbolic, but functional, each representing a layer of your being that must be known and aligned for true manifestation to occur. Neville Goddard did not speak in terms of these bodies explicitly, but his teachings point unmistakably to their integration. When he said, "To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change," he wasn't talking about thought alone. He was speaking to a total shift in identity, feeling, imagination, and being. The first body is the physical, your foundation, earth. It is the tangible, the seen, the temple, but it is also where energy condenses into matter. What you experience in the body is not separate from your assumptions. It is the visible effect of invisible states. A slouched posture, shallow breath, tight stomach. These are not accidents. They're the fingerprints of belief. They tell you what you have been embodying without needing words. If your desire is for vitality, abundance, love, ask, what posture would that person carry? What rhythm would they move in? The body responds to the state, but it also reinforces it. That is why Neville emphasized entering the state of the wish fulfilled, not in thought alone, but in full sensory participation. Feel it, walk in it, breathe as if it were already yours. Let the earth of your body testify to your new reality. The second body is emotional, water. It flows, responds, remembers. This is the feeling Neville so often called the secret. It's not enough to think about having something. You must feel the truth of it. Emotion is magnetic. It draws reality to you by resonance. If your emotional waters are clouded with fear, shame, or doubt, they distort the signal you are broadcasting. You might say you want something, but if you feel unworthy of it, the emotional body overrides the mental desire. And here's the key. The emotional body does not respond to logic. It responds to repetition, attention, and allowance. You must be willing to feel what you fear, and then teach it a new rhythm. This is where real power lies, not in suppressing feeling, but in transforming it through conscious assumption. Then comes the mental body: fire, thought, focus, interpretation, story. Fire brings clarity, but it can also burn. If your mind is undisciplined, filled with doubt or contradiction, you will experience scattered results. Manifestation requires mental precision. As Neville said, a change of feeling is a change of destiny. That feeling is first directed by belief. What are you assuming to be true, without question? Are you letting the world tell you who you are? Or are you writing your own mental script and rehearsing it internally, daily, deliberately? Finally, the spiritual body, air, awareness itself. This is not about belief in a higher power. It is the awareness that you are the higher power expressing through form, the I am, the observer behind the identity. This body carries the frequency of timelessness, of knowing beyond logic, of unity with all things. It is the breath of life, and when it is awakened, the other 3 bodies organize themselves around its clarity. Neville referred to this as God in man, man's own wonderful human imagination. It is the air that gives fire its spark, that moves water, that shapes earth. Now step back and see the picture. When you affirm something mentally, but feel emotionally unworthy, physically drained, and spiritually disconnected, your message is fractured. You are speaking in tongues that contradict each other. You might be thinking abundance, but your body still carries the weight of lack. You might be visualizing love, but your breath remains shallow, your shoulders closed, your energy defensive. The code doesn't lie. You manifest what you are, in total. So ask yourself now, not what do I want, but who am I being across all 4 levels? What is my body expressing? What feeling am I carrying? What thoughts am I rehearsing? What is my awareness identified with? Because once these 4 align, creation is no longer an effort. It becomes a rhythm. The law no longer resists you because you are no longer resisting yourself. You are the code. The blueprint was never outside you. It has been speaking through your posture, your mood, your breath, and your thoughts all along. Now, are you ready to reprogram from the center? Before we move on, pause for just a moment and ask yourself this. What if the exact shift you've been searching for isn't out there, but already waiting in a different way of seeing yourself? You'll want to take a look at the pinned comment below. It holds something aligned with everything we're seeing here, something crafted to deepen this alignment and help you put it into motion. Don't miss it. Now, let's continue. Because everything changes when you realize your DNA isn't just physical. It's responsive. It's listening. Deep within every cell of your body lies a code, a 4-letter script made up of the bases adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Science tells us this is your genetic identity. It maps your traits, your biological tendencies, your inherited potential. But what science is only beginning to whisper, mysticism has long proclaimed, DNA is not fixed. It is not a static sentence passed down through ancestry. It is a living, breathing script, one that listens and responds to vibration, thought, emotion, and light. You are not the passive recipient of your DNA. You are its narrator. Neville Goddard often spoke of imagination as the creative power of God in man, the force that shapes reality not from effort, but from assumption. When you accept this, you begin to understand that your imagination is not only projecting outward, it is also projecting inward. It is speaking to your cells. Your self-concept isn't just shaping your circumstances, it's reshaping your biology. The ancient texts hinted at this. They described divine language as vibrational light. They spoke of the Word made flesh, of names that heal, of sounds that open gateways in the body. The 4 bases of DNA, arranged in specific sequences, resemble linguistic patterns. They operate like letters in an alphabet, forming instructions. But what if you, through awareness, are the one writing the message? Let's return to Neville's words. The world is yourself pushed out. Extend that inward. Your body is also yourself pushed in. What you chronically assume, whether joy or bitterness, confidence or defeat, becomes embedded, not only in your outer life, but in your inner code. This is why deep emotional healing often results in physical healing. Why shifting your self-image sometimes results in changed posture, glow, energy levels. The body is rereading a new version of itself. Modern research shows that DNA can respond to intention, to emotion, and even to spoken words. Frequencies, especially those aligned with coherent emotions like gratitude, peace, or love, alter the folding and behavior of DNA strands. They activate dormant potentials. This is not metaphor. It is measurable. But the technology of transformation doesn't lie in machines. It lies in you. When you sit in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you occupy the assumption of your chosen identity, you are sending a new broadcast into your genetic code. You are giving your cells a new command. And like a faithful servant, the body begins to follow. Ask yourself now, what internal instructions have I been repeating unconsciously? I am always tired. I don't heal quickly. I'm just like my mother. I'll never change. These statements are not harmless. They are scripts. Scripts become signals. Signals become structure. Neville never said to beg for change. He said to assume it. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption. When you do, your internal architecture shifts. Your DNA begins to echo your new truth. Your cells receive the update. You are not at the mercy of your genetics. You are the author of your energetic inheritance. The 4-letter code of DNA is sacred, but the voice it listens to most is yours. Creation does not begin in the world. It begins in the centers of consciousness through which you experience the world. These are not abstract ideas or energetic philosophies. They are living power stations, located within your own body, each one designed to translate inner state into outer experience. Ancient wisdom, from the yogic sciences to the esoteric traditions, recognize them as centers of energy or chakras. But what matters most is not the terminology. It is the function. There are 4 primary centers that correspond to the 4 elements, the 4 bodies, and the 4 codes of manifestation. They are the root, the heart, the third eye, and the crown. And when they are aligned, not simply open, but attuned to one another, manifestation becomes effortless, because the signal you send into the field is clear, coherent, and complete. The root center, aligned with the earth element and the physical body, governs survival, grounding, and action. It's your connection to form, to doing, to the material plane. This is where your desires take shape, where intentions meet motion. But if this center is filled with anxiety, scarcity, or fear, then even the clearest mental image cannot become real. The root center must feel safe enough to allow creation to arrive. Then there is the heart center, aligned with water and the emotional body. This is the realm of feeling. Neville emphasized again and again that feeling is the secret. Why? Because feeling is the language of the heart, and the heart is the bridge between spirit and matter. When your desire is infused with genuine feeling, gratitude, love, peace, it becomes magnetic. The heart doesn't wish, it knows. And when the heart knows, the world responds. The third eye, aligned with fire and the mental body, is the center of vision, assumption, and inner perception. This is where you hold the image of your fulfilled desire. As Neville said, imagination is seeing with the eye of God. What you see clearly here, and accept as already true, begins to animate the unseen forces of life. But vision without feeling is sterile. It becomes fantasy. Vision fused with heart becomes blueprint. And above all, the crown center, aligned with air and the spiritual body, is your connection to the I Am. This is not about belief. It is about identification. When Neville spoke of God as your own wonderful human imagination, he was pointing to this center, not as a place but as a state of awareness. When you realize that the power to create is not something you ask for but something you are, the crown opens, not upward, but inward. You awaken as the author. Together, these four centers form a vertical path of manifestation, from spirit into mind, into emotion, into form, from the unseen into the seen. When one of these centers is blocked, whether by fear, guilt, confusion, or disbelief, the current is interrupted. You might imagine clearly but not feel it, or you might feel deeply but take no action, or you act continuously but with no vision to guide you. This is not a punishment, it's feedback, consciousness showing you where to align. So ask yourself now, which of these four engines has been overworked? Which one has been silent? Which center are you trying to manifest from alone? Because when all four awaken together, you don't have to push, you simply tune in, and the world adjusts. Because it is reading the signal that flows through your being. You don't manifest by demanding, you manifest by becoming. And becoming happens when these four centers, root, heart, mind, and awareness, are harmonized in truth. We've been taught to think of time as a straight line, a past we leave behind, a future rushing toward us, and a narrow present in between. But time is not linear. It is layered, dimensional, and far more elastic than we imagine. It behaves more like a field than a track. And the four temporal states, past, present, future, and timelessness, are not positions on a clock. They are states of consciousness, each with its own frequency, each with its own impact on what you create. Neville Goddard understood this implicitly. He said, "To desire a state is to have it." He did not mean you would eventually have it. He meant you must feel and accept that you have it now, regardless of appearances. This is where the illusion of time must be broken, because as long as your desire exists in the future, it cannot exist in the present, and the present is the only point where creation happens. Let's begin with the past. It is not behind you. It is within you, stored as energetic residue in your body, your nervous system, and your assumptions. The past only lives because you carry it. When you repeat the story, verbally or emotionally, you keep its frequency active. This is why revision, one of Neville's most powerful techniques, is so transformative. To revise the past is to change the present energy. And when the present changes, the future must shift. The present is not a fleeting second. It is the only place where your consciousness can apply creative force. Neville called it the point of power. Everything is happening now. When you feel something deeply and sustain it with awareness, you are moving energy, not toward something, but as something. This moment is not preparation for your manifestation. It is the manifestation in seed form, as within, so without. The future, then, is not out there. It is a vibrational pattern waiting for resonance. Your assumptions carve the track your life moves along. If you walk around rehearsing disappointment, you are not anticipating the future. You are selecting it. Every imagined scene is a choice. Every sustained feeling is a selection. Neville urged us to live in the end, not because the end is coming, but because the end already exists in consciousness. It is your alignment with it that makes it real. And then there is timelessness, a state where past, present, and future dissolve. This is the space of the I Am, pure being, no striving, no lack, only knowing. When you enter this space, even briefly, all resistance drops away. You are no longer becoming. You are being. In this space, healing happens instantly. Clarity floods the system. and reality begins to move with a different rhythm. Ask yourself, what part of time are you living from? Are you trapped in the memory of a self you've outgrown? Are you imagining a future that never arrives? Or are you aware now that everything you desire already exists, and that the doorway is this moment? You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. And once you understand that, you can stop chasing and start creating. The mind is not a singular voice or signal. It is a spectrum of awareness, constantly shifting through frequencies, each one revealing a different version of reality. Just as a radio receives different stations by changing its frequency, you access different levels of consciousness through the rhythm of your brainwaves. Understanding these states is not just neuroscience, it is the spiritual technology behind Neville Goddard's teachings. There are 4 primary brainwave states, and they align perfectly with the 4 bodies and elements we've explored: beta, alpha, theta, and delta. These are not arbitrary names, they are gateways. Each holds a key to manifestation, and most people remain trapped in only one. Beta is the waking state, alert, active, logical. This is the realm of the physical body and the earth element. In beta, you engage with the world, solve problems, take action. But if you try to manifest from this level alone, your efforts often feel like pushing against a wall. Neville taught that effort is not the cause of manifestation. Assumption is. And assumption cannot fully root in beta, because beta is concerned with facts, not feeling. Alpha is a slower rhythm. It is the bridge into the emotional body, the water element. In alpha, the mind is calm, receptive, more connected to inner images and gentle feeling. This is the frequency of light meditation, relaxed focus, creative thought. It is also the doorway to self-suggestion. Neville's method of impressing the subconscious begins here. When you begin to slow down, soften, and turn inward, you enter alpha. And in that state, new beliefs are more easily accepted as true. But theta is where the real transformation begins. This is the realm of the mental body as imagination, fire. In theta, the conscious mind loosens its grip, and the subconscious becomes suggestible. Neville called this the state akin to sleep. It is the optimal window for planting the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Why? Because in theta, resistance is minimal, identity is fluid, imagination is vivid. Here you don't just visualize, you experience your desire as real, and that experience becomes the new command. Finally, delta, the slowest and deepest rhythm. This is the sleep state, the unconscious realm, the spiritual body, air. In delta, you are not aware of the world, but your being is still active. Healing, renewal, recalibration. Neville taught that when a man truly believes he is what he desires to be, he enters sleep in that state, and upon waking, the world rearranges. Not because anything changed outwardly, but because the state of consciousness was altered. You don't need to force these states. You are already moving through them each day. The question is, are you using them consciously? If you remain in beta, trying to manifest through logic alone, you miss the power of the deeper currents. But when you learn to drift, intentionally, into alpha and theta, when you dwell in the end before sleep, when you saturate the mind with feeling and vision, manifestation begins to unfold like memory. Ask yourself, what state are you living in most of the time? And which state do you return to when imagining your future? Because reality does not change from the surface. It changes from the signal you send, through frequency, emotion, and awareness. Change the state, the rest will follow. We have explored the foundational structure that governs creation, the pattern of 4 that shapes the body, mind, time, and consciousness. Now we arrive at 4 final recognitions that clarify everything you've heard so far. These are not abstract ideas. They are concrete shifts in perception that release limitation and restore your original power. Neville Goddard didn't present his teachings as hopeful theories. He offered them as direct statements of how consciousness operates. These 4 recognitions reflect that clarity. The first, time is self-generated. Time is not an external force dragging you from past to future. It is a field of awareness unfolding from within. When Neville said, "The future must become the present in your imagination," he meant that the outer world does not deliver what you imagine for someday. It reflects what you assume now. Most people place their desire in the future, believing they'll receive it once circumstances allow. But that belief keeps it away. The moment you truly claim it in consciousness, the structure of time reshapes to reflect that change. What you call waiting is often just an unclaimed assumption. The second, focus shapes reality. Your attention is creative. Wherever you direct it, energy organizes. Neville put it simply, you must be conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. That applies to any state. Consciousness is selective. The longer you focus on lack, the more real lack becomes. The longer you remain aware of wholeness, the more it reveals itself. Reality is not fixed. It is reactive. Your focus becomes the lens through which it takes form. What you continue to observe, you reinforce. What you withdraw attention from begins to dissolve. The third, your identity creates your universe. You are not here to attract things. You are here to express who you are. What appears in your world matches the concept you hold of yourself. If you say, I am always left out, your experiences will confirm that. If you say, I am seen, chosen, and valued, your environment will adjust accordingly. Neville taught, you rise to a higher level of being by assuming you already are that which you want to be. You do not become your desire by effort. You become it by assumption, and that assumption becomes the seed of your environment. The fourth, the system operates through agreement. All external control relies on internal belief. The world cannot limit you unless you first accept the limitation as valid. That is the unspoken mechanism behind every system of control. It offers an identity, and you decide whether to live under it. Neville wrote, deny the evidence of the senses and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That means, stop taking the external world as the final authority. It is a reflection, not a cause. The moment you stop agreeing with disempowering stories about who you are, what is possible, and what must happen first, you step out of the role you were assigned and into the role you define. These are not motivational statements. They are operational truths. Time responds to what you assume now. Focus determines what stays real. Identity directs what takes shape. And external systems lose power the moment you stop consenting to them. Ask yourself directly, what timelines have I kept alive by expecting them? Where is my focus reinforcing a version of life I no longer want? What identity am I repeating by default? And what limits only exist because I've quietly agreed to them? You are not being shaped by the world. You are shaping it by the state you occupy. These are the final four recognitions, not because they complete a cycle, but because they leave nothing else to look for. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs to be added. Only seen for what it is, and lived from that seeing. Everything you've heard has pointed to one essential truth. Your reality is not separate from you. It is not arriving from outside, nor is it governed by chance. It is shaped continually by the state you occupy, by what you assume to be true, feel to be real, and persist in as your inner identity. The Code of Four is not a philosophy or belief system. It is structure, a living design that shows itself everywhere. In the four elements, the four bodies, the four brainwave states, the four temporal layers, and the four centers of creation. This structure is not imposed upon you. It is you, and once you understand it, you can stop forcing life to move, and begin moving from within with clarity. Neville Goddard taught that there is no power outside of your own consciousness, that the world you experience is a mirror, nothing more, nothing less. Stop trying to change the world, he said, since it is only the mirror. This does not mean passive acceptance. It means true power lies in the invisible shift. When you change the state from which you think, feel, and imagine, everything outside of you must follow. It is not delayed. It is not debated. It is done. What remains now is not more theory, but application. Choose one of the codes, identity, feeling, imagination, or awareness, and live from it today. Let it shape your words, your posture, your tone. See what happens when you stop looking for proof, and instead become the evidence. The state you persist in will become the form you walk through. And ask yourself, truly, what am I still assuming about who I am and what is possible? That quiet assumption is not passive. It is an engine, and it runs all day long, creating your next scene, your next conversation, your next result. Now, before this ends, take one more step. Look at the pinned comment below. Don't skip it. There's something waiting for you there. Something simple, but essential. A reminder, a shift, or a question that may be more timely than you expect. Don't let it go unnoticed. The structure is already in you. The power never left. And the life that matches your chosen state is already forming, quietly, faithfully, just behind the surface. Because it's not coming from the world. It's coming from you.